Hello, and welcome to Metrics That Matter October 2014 Release Overview. The enhancement covered in this overview is for the Program module. This enhancement focuses on providing language versioning for our program modules. These include program evaluations, 360s, employee surveys, survey assessments, and projects. We wanted to make sure that these modules have the same capabilities as our learning and testing modules. So participants in those programs are able to view their survey in their native language. Regardless of what language they speak, they will be able to see their experience in their local language. Having these experiences versioned will benefit not just the participants, but also the administrators creating the programs. The participants will benefit because they can now see the survey in their own language, which in turn leads to better comprehension of the questions asked. This improves the accuracy, of course, of the responses that the administrators receive. The administrators building the programs will benefit because the process of setting these programs up will be cut in half, if not more, since the configuration is simple and consistent to our learning modules. To give you an idea of how much these improvements will help the administrators setting up these programs, I wanted to talk a little bit about their experience, where you can see just how much time and effort this enhancement will save them. What you are seeing here is a program search page with a list of programs that appear to be the same, with the exception of the last note at the end. The notation here indicates the version of the program. This would be typical in a scenario where a program is offered in multiple languages, because each language has its own program. So think, each time a program is administered, the administrator would create the program in every language they support and have to go into each one of them and configure them separately. Aside from the configuration, which would need to be the same, think of the survey content. If a change would have to be made to replace a question or make an update to the content in the language version, admins would have to go in and make that change in every form for all the programs in every language. Just so you get a feel of the impact of one question needing an update when you have a separate program for each language. This is a list of our supported languages. Imagine this program needing to be updated for all of these languages. You can just imagine the effort involved. To support our solution, we made 3 significant updates in the administration to support the configuration of the participant's experience. First, we've made updates to the demographics form logic to be consistent with the learning module. We've made updates to configuration experience by making 2 distinct areas for setting up the program-wide configurations and then separating them from the form configurations, such as the different labels and buttons on the survey. And lastly, we added the familiar language dropdown to allow for easy content versioning for each of the languages. Okay, so let's take a look at the administration experience so you can see for yourself how easy the setting of the version program will be after the release. So this is our form setup page. This form setup page now contains the ability to turn on your languages. These language options appear based on the organization configuration, just like they do in our learning module. This page also allows you to set up your scale settings with the scale order, and then the ability to display either the question number, the NA option, or keep the raters anonymous. So this is the form settings page. This is the second part of the configuration, whereas the form setup you were selecting your language and all of the other higher level configurations. On the form settings, you are going down a little bit further and you're able to select all of the items that really will appear on the form. So such as the logo that will appear at the top of the page, any form headers that will appear, for example, for the name of the person and the program name, all of those can be versioned, as well as the scale settings, the buttons that appear on the form, and the thank you page that appears at the end of the experience. All of this can be versioned by selecting the specific language from the language dropdown, which will be located on the upper right corner, just like as it is today in our learning experience and active authoring. So now that you were able to configure which language version you want your program, and then the form setup, and then in the form settings, you've configured all of your scale and logo and form headers. Now on this page, on the form content page, you are configuring your actual content of the page. Just like with the other page, the language dropdown will appear on the right upper corner, so you can select the language. You're able to configure all of the typical areas that you can in learning and active authoring. So the page name, any introductory information, form the categories, the questions themselves, and answer options. So now that we saw the administrator experience, let's take a look at how our solution applies to the student experience, just to see how all of those areas that you configure get applied. So like I said before, we've made updates to the entire student experience. So that includes our respondent page, which is what you're looking at here. The respondent page is fully versioned, so we have translations for all of the elements on the page for all of our supported languages. So as soon as the person comes through and they have a browser selection for a specific language. Here in our example, it's Spanish. The page automatically refreshes to show the content in that language. Here at the top, you can see that you have the language dropdown. So based on how many versions are configured, those are the languages that will appear. So the participant can select and change that language as soon as they come on the page if it is not the correct one that they want to see. So this next page in the participant experience is the demographic page. As you can see, the demographic page is fully versioned. And then you also have the ability, like you did with the other page, to change the language if it is not as desired. But basically, the enhancement that we've made in the administration was that you can select for a program one specific demographic form, and then based on whatever demographic form versions are available, that will be displayed here. So this next page after the demographic page is the form itself that appears to be for the participant. This page has all the version information coming from the form settings page. So notice the logo is different, so you can select a different logo for different versions. You have your page and then your headers all versioned, as well as if you go a little bit lower, you can start seeing the page and the page category versioned. You also have the language dropdown on the right side, and this is where you could select a different language if you choose to for your experience. So here for our next page is our rater definition page. Part of being able to have a program is the ability to have multiple raters. So as part of the student experience, when asked the participant to fill out their raters, we wanted to make sure that that page is also versioned. So we've gone ahead and we've translated this page in all of our supported languages. So you'll see everything from the header at the top all the way to each of the rater types, and then all the messaging on this page all the way to the footer appear in that specific language. Notice that this does not have the option to change the language. This is all driven based off of the previous page, which is the survey page language selection. And lastly, part of the student experience is the thank you page. We wanted to make sure that this page is also versioned. So on the form settings page, we have that option at the bottom to version the thank you text. And all of those configurations will apply here, including the logo selected for that language. Before we talk about some takeaways for this enhancement, I just wanted to talk about another page that we have available in our system. This page is a page that appears to a rater when they access their survey link. And this is the page where the rater selects who they want to rate. So again, just like with the previous rater definition page, this page is also fully versioned. So all of the rater types, all of the buttons and labels and everything will appear in that configured language. And again, this is also driven off of the respondent or the demographic page. A few things to remember about this enhancement is that the versioning is now available for the survey, the entire survey experience, and that is for the 360 module, employee survey, project assessment, survey assessments, and program evaluations. An additional item I wanted to point out is that email invitations will remain localized, so whatever language you put in the email in the configuration of the program, that's the language that will appear for the emails going out. This concludes our demo. Thank you for viewing the program's enhancements video for the October 2014 release.